Welcome back to Factory Sealed, everybody. It is October 16th, 2013. My name's Eric Peterson. Joining me today is Aron Robison.
Hello. And Fry, if you didn't hear him.
And Jess Clarkson is not here today, but filling in her stead is Kevin Byer.
I don't think I'm actually just filling in her stead.
You're here for good?
Well, I'm here for this show. But don't think that I'm only here because she's not.
Well, no, we did originally schedule you to be on here regardless.
That's right.
But now you have two pairs of shoes to fill. You have your Canadian moccasins, and you also have her Canadian moccasin stilettos to fill. If that analogy makes sense.
I don't know what to say about that.
You guys all just wear moccasins, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Just like you guys are all ignorant.
I'm not going to argue that fact. So, Kev, how's it going? It's been a while since we've heard from you.
Yeah, it's been a while. Last show was that Doom show? When did we do that one?
Was it the Doom show or was it the Final Fantasy VI show?
No, it was Doom. We did Doom after that.
We did. Man, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Aron.
Did you and Eric Peterson talk about the game Jackal?
You guys were talking about that last time, and
last time, so not before that. So see, Eric.
I swear we talked about that game at some point.
You were wrong.
Eric's never wrong, just like he never misses a deadline.
I never miss a deadline.
I've never missed a... Hey, guys, we'll be back next week. Oh, I'm going to be in Seattle.
Oh, fuck.
This kind of came up on me, too. I had no idea it was going to happen.
I knew as soon as I sent that tweet, like, this is a bad idea, because, I mean, for God's sakes, on Manitank, they were able to dig through, like, 60 old shows to find the exact second where I contradicted myself on a Elder Scrolls thing.
That's true, but hopefully that guy doesn't listen to this show.
Oh, I'm sure he doesn't. So, yeah, I was in Seattle last week. I flew up there with Christy and got a little bit of a reprieve from the heat and went to the rainy Northwest, as my uncle who lives up there likes to call it the butthole of the country, because if you do actually look at the map of the United States, you may not have ever seen this before, but it does look like a cow facing east. And where my uncle lives is in Oregon, right on the border of Washington, and if you look close enough, there's a little inlet of water, and it looks just like a butthole. So he lives in America's butthole.
Awesome.
That is.
And you're also out there giving my number out to people.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't give your number out to anybody. Tell me about this. I meant to talk to you about this. So I was out in Seattle. We do have one listener, Jeff Woods, who lives in Seattle, and he was going to try to get down into the city and come have a beer with me. Things just didn't work out. But that's the extent of our conversation. So you send me a message, and let me see exactly what you sent me here, because it was really confusing.
Well, because I accidentally texted you when I was trying to text that guy that was texting me.
Yeah, I don't...
Here's what I got. He sent me... I got a picture of a dog that says, "Sorry, I don't know doggy style yet."
What?
Little, like, puppy. That's what I get first. From a random number, I don't know.
What's the area code?
425, which I know is a Seattle phone, like it's around the Seattle area phone number.
Let's see.
That's all I know, just based off that, because I have friends that live in that area, so I knew that. So then I said, "How's the weather over there?" And then he replies, or she replies, with "What weather?" I said, "That's good weather then." And then I get, "Do you know who I am?" I just responded with my new texting buddy. Then I get, "I am the Mystic Facebook user that whoops some serious ass.
You know what?
Do you play GTA 5? Texting buddy is right.
I bet you that's Mr. Jeff Woods.
You think so? Because he talks like he's like 15 years old. That does not sound like Jeff Hardwoods that I know.
But it's just too... It's too coincidental, because 425, I'm looking at a map, covers the city where he lives.
Maybe this guy's like a crazy computer hacker, and he hacked Eric's life and through it accessed Aron.
Well, here's a question though: do you have your phone number on your Facebook profile?
No.
Then how the hell did he get your number?
I don't know.
Wait.
And so then I said I will play it, and he goes and then he sends me a picture of Steve Jobs. It says, "Lols, you all thought I died. Joke's on you."
Wait, he's not dead?
Apparently not. Then I get, "Make a better phone, Steve." And he goes, "iPhone sucks. Windows Phone, baby. Sucks real bad." Then he sends me a picture.
So you
of
have...
what looks like his phone, like basically the Windows new phone image here. I don't know if it's real or fake.
You have a cell phone stalker who sends you terrible internet memes.
Yeah, and then I get iPhone. He goes, "YUS," like yes, and then he just randomly goes, or she, "Do you like dreads?" Me neither. GTA 5 is pretty awesome.
Wait, so you said a few minutes ago that you have friends that live in that area. How do you know this isn't one of your friends?
Well, because I didn't recognize the number. And then later on, well, let's see. Hold on a second. It says GTA 5. I said, heard that. What are you playing now? Currently nothing. Are you scrambling to find out who this is?
Okay, wait.
This is when you got the strange text from me.
Let me stop you right there just for a second.
Yeah.
So you have this weird stalker. That's crazy enough as it is. But the simple fact that you engaged with this person in more than one text message blows my mind. You actually conversed with this person.
Well, I don't...
This is what we talk to all of our children about. Don't do this because you're going to get raped and left in a dumpster.
Well, I doubt it.
Maybe that's what he was looking for.
Maybe. Here's the deal. Here, I'll finish it out because I haven't heard anything since the end of this.
Okay.
And it's, are you scrambling to find who this is? And I said, I assume you know one of my friends out there in Seattle. In the Seattle area, judging from the area code. And then the last thing I got was on that Friday night was, well, correct about one thing, but I don't know your friends. And that was the last text I ever got.
Wait,
from that night.
I didn't hear anything because your dog's barking.
Yeah, Fury's mad right now. Sorry. Just take that.
So he's waiting for a response. I think we should craft the response right now and then.
Can you? I was focusing on the dog.
Well, like here's what I said. Fury. Well, correct. Every time I talk, he barks. That's it. Come here. Come here.
Yeah, bring him closer to the mic. That's a better idea.
Well, correct. You said, well, period, correct about one thing, but I don't know your friends. And that was the very last text I got from him last Friday.
Okay, so I'm going to put all of my chips on Jeff Woods because he's the only fan of ours that I know that lives out in Seattle. He's in the 425 area code. And
you gave him Aron's number.
Well, no, I gave him nothing. I only contacted him via Twitter. And he's on our Facebook page all the time.
Yeah.
The pieces all fit.
I guess. Hell, I'll text right now. What do you want me to text? Let's find out. What do you got for me, Kevin?
I don't know.
Is this Jeff Hardwoods?
Well, no, you can't do something like that because then it's just yes or no. Ask him if he's ever flown to the moon on a rocket ship made of candy canes.
You should move your dog because that's getting real annoying.
All right. I'll get him, baby. Get him downstairs.
And we're going to fill the awkward silence.
All right, fill it. I'm going to put my headphone down a second. 1 second.
Oh, please. Please do.
Please.
Okay, what is this Factory Sealed Facebook? Because I'm going to check it out right now.
Go to factorysealed.com/Facebook, or the other way around, facebook.com/factorysealed.
You think if I just search in Factory Sealed, it will work?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Phone call that I am not going to answer right now because I'm doing this.
Oh, well, if you were Aron, you'd take it.
Take what?
Would I?
Who is it? Is it Oliver?
No.
Is it Matt?
No.
Then don't take it.
All right.
Don't take what?
None of your business. You're going to have to listen to the show to figure it out.
What are you talking about? What's in the box?
So, I don't know. I don't claim to be a detective, but I did today get to feel like some sort of detective at work, because and I can't talk too much about it, but I got a call from one of the principals at the school saying, "Hey, we need you to come in and help us pull some video and get it transferred over, blah blah blah." And like, I come to find out that the videos that I'm pulling off these cell phones and transferring are evidence for a police brutality case. I'm like, hell yeah, I feel like such a sweet ass hacker right now, and really, I was just pulling videos off an iPhone. So that gives me cred to deduce the perp in your case.
Okay. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Did Kev die?
No, I'm just trying to wrap my head around what you just said.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet. So that's
anyway.
that. But
Jeff, if you're stalking me, good job, I guess, finding me. If
I'm
Eric
gonna
Peterson give you my number.
I'm gonna creep on your Facebook right now because I bet you've got your phone number in there.
I don't have my phone number on there, man.
I bet you do.
I better
And
not.
to the person who is stalking him,
Hey, Aaron.
job on texting,
Aaron.
next step, letter bombs.
What?
Aaron, I have
What?
your phone number on Facebook right now.
What are you talking about? Who put my phone number on there?
Hey, Kev, let me see if you can see his. Here you go. Here's his Facebook page. See if his phone number's on there.
Hold on, let's check this out.
Are you my friend on Facebook?
Me?
Kevin's not.
No.
Can you load that page?
Yeah, but it's like
Uh,
you do not have permission to view all of this information.
well,
All right, where did you find my phone number here?
under About.
I'm going to pull this up at this.
But if you're not friends with this person on Facebook, they couldn't have gotten your phone number.
All right.
So you must be friends.
You've got
What the fuck is my phone number
Oh,
on there for?
All right. Well,
I'm getting rid of that right now.
I'm gonna get rid of that right quick. Whoever is antagonizing him, good job. That's funny. That's some good
Well,
stuff.
I only got antagonized the one night, so.
But it just blows my mind that you engaged this. Like, this could have been some 70-year-old creeper pedophile trying to lure you into an alley for a good time.
Yeah. Well, some people need that.
I guess.
They need that in their life, it's not like this first time I've ever gotten a random text from somebody who texted the wrong person, and then we just became texting buddies.
Are you really that lonely that you just rely on, like, random text message conversation?
No, but if I get a
Never
text
mind
from
that,
somebody...
Think of the guy on the other side who's so lonely he just text messages random people.
That's awesome. Maybe
That's way worse.
that'd actually be kind of funny to just type in a random phone number into your phone and send a text message and see what happens and just roll with it.
I once had a lady. I was calling for something, and I dialed the wrong number, and a lady answered the phone, and she was like, I don't know, in her 90s, and she was alone, and I probably had talked to her like 15 to 20 minutes just so she had somebody to talk to because she had like no family left.
How did that conversation go? Were you trying to call Domino's to get a pizza and you get this lady on her deathbed?
I can't remember where I was working. If I was working for the insurance company or where, but I was basically calling around to talk to people to do something. And I called the lady up by accident because I hit the wrong number. And she goes, "Oh, no, but it's too bad you're not calling me because I could use somebody to talk to." And I talked to her. And,
You're such a nice guy.
Yeah, I am a pretty nice guy.
Jesus.
Should just slam that phone down and says, "I ain't got time for you."
I got my boss breathing down my neck. I got 66.
I wasn't bleeding, so I had time for it.
God.
Because I just don't have time to bleed.
What does bleeding have anything to do with that?
My God, you guys have no movie references. You all suck.
Was it a bad movie? Is that why we don't know it?
Yeah,
Dude, it's from Predator.
What does that have to do with customer service calls?
Nothing. I was saying that I have time to talk to people and be a nice guy. I just don't got time to bleed.
I don't get the Predator reference.
Well, I would guess the line was in Predator.
The line was in Predator, said by Jesse the Body Ventura.
You can't just pull random movie quotes and jam them into a conversation where they don't fit.
It did fit.
No, it didn't. Was Predator placing some sort of telemarketing call to Arnold Schwarzenegger to try to sell insurance?
No.
And then Arnie says, I don't have time to bleed, and then hangs up? Because then that would have fit.
It was about the time spent. I have the time to talk to somebody. That's where the reference came in.
Well, it makes sense. He's got time to text message people, too.
You've got a lot of time, but you don't have time to bleed.
Yeah.
Or to play Grand Theft Auto 5.
Which is still in the cellophane wrapper, which I'm probably returning tomorrow.
Yeah, we're ending this call. So here's my next question. This is going to be a nice little segue. Did you have time to play any, and by any, I mean even like thinking about it, of Mother 3?
No, because I downloaded the thing and it kept freezing on me. And you kept asking me what emulator. I don't know what emulator that was.
Kev, can you save the day by at least saying you finished all the way up to Chapter 2?
I'm really terrible with computers, but it was really easy to follow the instructions that Eric gave to get that emulator and to play the game. So
Kev is terrible
Aaron
with
must have
computers.
been busy talking to people through text messaging and phoning old ladies, finding out how their day went.
Maybe. But I did find an actual copy of Earthbound.
Really?
Which I'm trying to get over here.
How much?
Well, I'm just going to borrow it. I just have to remember who has it. Because I had a conversation with somebody about it about a week or two ago. And I was like, oh, sweet, I should borrow that then. So I bet I can actually play the actual copy of the game. But you guys make fun of me about this, but now I can't remember who I was talking to about it. Might have been my brother-in-law. Yep, it was my brother-in-law. I got to call him. So hopefully I can get a hold of that copy and play it actually for real.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't play any Mother 3?
I did not.
Kev, let's start with you then, because we did a show dedicated to the first chapter of Mother 3 a while back. So we've kind of covered this, but since you're kind of interjecting yourself into this, what'd you think of the game so far up to the end of Chapter 1?
The end of Chapter 1?
Yeah, just the first chunk, so we can kind of like all be on the same page.
I felt that Chapter 1 was like a whole bunch of stuff happening, and you don't really care about it. Like, especially in the prologue where you had the cabin and those kids and the mom, and they're trying to go home. You don't care about those people.
Why don't you care about them?
Because they're not compelling. Their dialogue was boring. They didn't have anything exciting to do.
You think so?
Yeah.
I thought the writing was great in this game.
Some of the writing is really good. Like, some of the references they make, it's just like, oh, that's funny to make a reference in a video game like that, but okay, I'll go with it.
Yeah.
Some of it's really good, but I don't know. I felt that the entire first chapter was just... so we're doing this because we need to see what the pig people do. That's why we have to care about these people.
I kind of took a different view with that, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I think that they were using the first chapter to set up all of these subsequent sub-chapters after that. So,
well, the only thing the first chapter seems to introduce is it introduced the fact that everything that's happening in the game is happening in this town, and all the characters are like interconnected.
And it's
so far that's what I've gotten from it.
I kind of get this feeling that as we move forward, it's going to be close. It's going to be something similar to that M. Night Shyamalan film.
Oh, and where the end of the game comes, and you're just like, what?
Or it's going to be like The Village, where these people, because they introduce the concept of money later, and this guy throws his bag down the well, and he's like, "Don't steal my money!" And everyone's like, "Well, what the hell's money?" But there's all these pigs coming in with all this technology and everything, and they're kind of like, what's going on? And they make references later to like this outside world encroaching on them. And
yeah, that was one of the parts where the writing was really good, because the guy came with the money and he traded it to this kid, and he's the kid who got the money is trying to explain to his friends what it is.
Yeah.
And his friends are like, so let me get this straight. You took something that you built and that you can hold in your hand, and you traded it to this guy for a bunch of pieces of paper. Well, yeah, I did. It's worth tons of money. And these other people are just looking at him and they're like, okay, this guy's crazy.
Yeah, it's poignant because if you think about it, money has absolutely no value.
Exactly. It's just the value that we give it is the value it has, which is why the dollar changes every day.
I mean, we could use wood chips for a currency. It's just what we tie to it. So, Chapter 2 felt really awkward. Like I was really grooving with Chapter 1. I liked how it ended. I felt that they really injected a lot of emotion into this. And by the end, I felt bad for Flint with his wife dying and the kid taking off and having to go back and kill the Drago to get him. I'm like, well, what's making these dragons go crazy? Like, I'm starting to get into the story. And then, boom, you pop into Chapter 2, and you're this semi-retarded, almost thief, Duster, who suddenly you have to break into an old Chinese palace and steal something shiny. The game just took like a huge left turn, and I'm kind of hoping they bring it back. I didn't understand the left turn at all.
I think Duster was a better character than what was the first guy? Flint.
Yeah.
I thought he was way better than Flint just because of all the interactions that he actually had with his father/mentor or whatever it was.
Was that his father?
I think it might have been, but I don't quite remember.
Who was that? What was his name? Wes?
Yeah, Wes.
Yeah, he was abusive to Duster. He just kept calling him a constant moron.
Yeah. And that's what I thought was pretty good, because there's potential in later chapters for Duster to be the hero of the game.
Yeah, at first I thought Flint was going to be the main character, but I think this is going to turn out to be something kind of like Final Fantasy VI, where you've got a plethora of main characters, or there really isn't a main character. It's just these are the characters of the game, and you get to experience all their stories. Yeah,
like I haven't put any time into Chapter 3 yet, but I assume it's going to be a totally different character.
It is.
Very little references to the other characters.
When I watched the credits on I don't know if it was at the end of Chapter 2 or at the beginning of... Yeah, they roll credits at the end of the chapter, and if you read in there, halfway through Chapter 2, as Duster's leaving town to head up to Osho Castle, the first time, this merchant comes into town and bumps into him. He's like, oh, okay, sorry, and walks off.
Yeah.
And they make a reference in those rolling credits at the end that the arrival of this merchant is set to change the course of this town and the people within it.
Well, the merchant was the guy who made the trade for the money.
I thought it was a kid that had the bag of money.
No, the kid had the bag of money, but he traded something to the merchant to get the money.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, so I think you play as the merchant in the next chapter?
Yeah, I think so too.
You're out in the desert. Either way, you're somewhere out in the desert. But Jess told me something interesting. I didn't pick up the first time I played through this because I had to play from the beginning again to get back up to where we were, and I was kind of having the same issue that Aron was having. I was playing this on my PSP. I have a Game Boy emulator on there, Game Boy Advance emulator, and for some reason it kept crashing, or the game save, when I would go to load it, it would load, and then it would freeze, and then my game save would be gone. So I had to start over 3 times when I was 2 hours into the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got almost up to the point where Flint's wife was dead, and then it crashed, and I had to do it again, and I got all the way up there, and then I accidentally overwrote my game save, and then I had to do it again. So now, whenever I do my game saves, I save it in a spot, I walk 2 steps, save it in another spot, walk 2 more steps, save it in another spot, and I fill up all 10 spots so that if one breaks, I can go to the next one and just keep game saving over and over again.
That sounds pretty time-consuming.
It is, but I've already put that amount of time into the emulator on the PSP, and trying to transfer it to the computer might just be a huge headache.
Yeah, probably.
And for people asking, I think people wondering, we talked about this before, but you can only play this game via an emulator because it was never released in America. There's a fan translation. You can find all the stuff online. I mean, maybe we'll even post the directions on our Facebook page. But Jess was mentioning something that I didn't pick up on the first time through with regard to the battles. And I guess after playing so many Final Fantasy games, or like especially after 8, where you try to hit the button right as you attack and you get a combo, I just thought that's how it worked. But apparently, the battles are music based.
Yeah.
But it's not based on the beat of the song that's in the battle.
It's based on a secret music that only plays when the enemy is asleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I think that is probably one of the coolest like mechanics to add into a fight, because the way to get more than one hit is to time your button taps with this music.
Because what I was doing,
I have never been able to do it. The most I've got is 3 hits in a row.
I got up to 9, but that was when I was doing it on just the basis of like keeping beat with the music. So I would come into the battle and I would just start pressing the button in time with music, and then when you press attack and it goes Flint attacks or Duster attacks, then I would wait until there's the downbeat so I can hit it again and just try to keep going off that. And once you get the notes to come up, I would just time it with the notes. But it was goofy because as you hit the enemy, his heartbeat gets faster, so you have to hit the button faster.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. That's such a cool battle mechanic. Because if you don't dig into it and really figure it out, you're never going to know about it.
But it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it's really cool if you can get it, but I'm one of the people who can't get it, so every single boss fight for me revolves around the same strategy. Okay, well, at least the Chapter 2 boss fights.
Yeah.
Debuff, 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 then maybe attack.
Yeah. I took the stance of I went into the boss battle, got my ass kicked, so I went back out, and then I just started level grinding for about 5-6 levels, and then went in and whooped his ass. But I was trying to figure out, because when you get to the final boss of the second chapter, it's the snake in the water, and I knew that Kumatora, this princess that you pick up along the way, she had Psi abilities, which apparently in the original translation of the game were supposed to be called PK abilities, and it somehow got lost in translation and turned into Psi. But, she should obviously have a thunder attack. So I went all the way back to town, and I'm looking through all the buildings, like, where do I get these extra Psi abilities? Like, fine, I'll just level grind. And then it popped up with Kumatora's come down with a fever.
Yeah, fever.
And I'm sitting here like, great, is this just like the nausea where I'm not going to be able to eat? So I went back to town. I'm looking for medicine. I'm fighting all these bosses, looking in presents, trying to find medicine to cure a fever. And then after about 10 battles, it goes, your fever has subsided. You've learned these 6 Psi moves. Like, hell yeah.
Yeah, the way they do new spells in this game is really, really strange.
I kind of like it, though.
Once you hit a certain level threshold, there's a chance while you're running to get fever.
Yeah.
And then I think I'm not sure if it's time-based or like battle-based, but I think it's time-based, because what happened to me is I got the new spells when I was walking around the map. It just popped up with a little screen at the bottom. It's like, you have learned these spells.
See, I read somewhere that it was based on battle, and that after each battle with a fever, there was a 25% chance that it would go away and you would get your Psi. But based on what you said, that obviously seems incorrect, because you got it just walking around.
Yeah, maybe it's both, right? Maybe it's battle and...
It could be, but I like that because it actually encourages you to fight. There's very rarely a time when I try to dodge an enemy. I fight everything.
And that's cool, but I don't like that, like, because I'm going through it with every once in a while glancing at a walkthrough, and every once in a while it says straight up in the walkthrough, it's like, you should probably level grind right now because the next boss is really hard. And that kind of makes me mad when I play games that just have to have level grinding.
They don't just naturally build the amount of enemies into the level that you need.
Yeah, either that or they don't give you the tools you need to fight the boss efficiently, right?
I do kind of like the fact, though, that there's not a lot of inventory management. I mean, yeah, you have a certain amount of space, but you don't have to worry too much about, like, oh, I've got these 6 swords, which one is the best, or these 16 pairs of pants. And it's nice that you occasionally come across a new weapon or a new item, and they're kind of usually hidden way off in no man's land, and you have to go dig for them. Because I went into the second boss battle without Duster's good shoes or something like that, and I found his shoes on my way back through the castle the 3rd time, and fought everything on the way, and I think I whooped that thing's ass in probably 3 rounds.
But you're probably like level 23 because you grind so much.
Yeah, I think I'm up over 20.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I think I fought the second boss or the first boss in the castle when I was level 15.
Oh wow.
But yeah, the one room in chapter 2 that pissed me off beyond all belief, that I was actually getting ready to be like, okay, if this fucks me one more time, I'm quitting this game.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Which room I'm talking about.
Is it the room with the brooms?
Yes.
There's an easy trick to it, and I found it. It was pissing me off because I hated having to walk all the way back through, but that's kind of where I got some of my level grinding. But if you walk into that room, the broom in the middle just circles around that present, and if you drop down to the bottom of the screen and wait for him to go by and just run past him, that's it. That's all it takes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I tried to take the middle and try to bob and weave around him, but you have those two people trailing behind you, and you could never beat it.
Yeah, the first time I read the warning sign, and the warning sign says, careful, watch out for the brooms will sweep you away or something like that.
Yeah.
And what these brooms do is if they hit you, there's a little trash can at the very beginning of the level, the castle that you're in, and if you go inspect it at the beginning, it says, oh, here's a trash can. I wonder what it's here for.
Yeah, I was wondering about
later
that.
on, if you get swept away, if you get touched by one of these brooms that moves around the screen, it pushes you all the way back to the beginning of the level. So the first time I read the sign, it's like, okay, well, the brooms are going to sweep you away. I didn't think that was going to be a big deal. I thought it would just be like a fight. And
I thought they were just going to push you to the edge and drop you off, so you had a little time.
Yeah, or like push you into that one pit and you drop down one floor.
Yeah.
The first time I got hit because I didn't think it would be a big deal, and it swept me back to the beginning of the stage, and I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was super pissed.
That's where you got to learn the trick of doing save states. And then you're like, fuck it, and then reload your save state. But that's kind of cheating. So.
But yeah, I play from my couch on the big screen.
Oh, yeah.
Controller. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to get up to walk to the other side of the room to do a save state.
Those brooms kind of remind me of the hand from the Zelda games that would come down, but without any warning, or it's a smaller margin of error, because at least the hand in the old Zelda games would give a shadow when it was about to drop, and you could move away. These ones, you touch them, you're dead.
And it's only you, right? In this game, you have two people following behind you.
Yeah.
That move in basically the same way you do, but they can get caught by a broom too that you think you get by. And that's what happened to me the second time.
That was a really frustrating room. I remember that. That sucked. But yeah, if you play it, just drop down and go around the bottom of it, and you'll never get hit.
So where did you hear about this game?
We had a follower recommend it to us. His name is Ryan Yedinik, and he suggested it via email. And we were hoping to do a chapter every other week quite a while ago, but we just kind of fell off with what we were going to do, and I think we're going to try to pick that back up. So we're hoping that in 2 weeks from now we can be done with chapter 3. So,
and maybe some of us caught up, but that'll never happen.
Aaron,
yes, sir.
You've been awfully quiet. Do you have questions? Somebody who hasn't played this, does this sound appealing?
It does. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of what I played for today's episode, because it's around that same time period. When you guys talk about it, I feel like I have no idea what you're talking about, but it makes me go, okay, well, I now want to know what you guys are doing. So is it more? It's a top-down game, right?
It is a traditional JRPG, but it's done in the style of Earthbound. Apparently, it doesn't. There's a lot of talk about when this takes place in the canon of Mother or Earthbound, and apparently this takes place in just a completely separate world universe area, and it's not a prequel or a sequel. But the coolest thing about it, and if you had to have one reason to play this game, even if you hate JRPGs or just any sort of RPGs in general, I feel like this game is a technical achievement for the Game Boy Advance, because the character animations are spot on, and there's just so much going on with those characters, with their facial expressions and what they're doing and how they're interacting with each other and the world around them. It's just, to see that done on a handheld system from that long ago is incredible.
All right.
Yeah, that's kind of cool that it came out for Game Boy Advance. It's kind of, or I guess whatever the Japanese equivalent of it is.
I think it was still the Game Boy Advance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's cool because it doesn't look terrible. You think of Game Boy Advance games, you're like, great, this is going to look like crap. But this game looks really good. It looks solid and crisp, and it's the translation is incredible. The people that did this took over 3 years to do it.
This game looks 10 times better on a big screen TV than Final Fantasy VII does. I'll tell you that.
Man, have you started that?
Yeah, I have.
So, are you and I going to plan on doing some Final Fantasy VII shows?
I think we're going to have to.
How do we want to break that up?
Well, I think we should do a special.
An entire, beat the game and then play and then do the show?
Yeah, just like we did for 6.
Dude, there's no way. That's like 70 hours of game to cover.
So, are you planning on doing it in the next week or two?
I don't have that good of a memory.
Yeah, you do.
My issue with Final Fantasy VII is that I've played through that game so much that now when I go back to play through, I'm like, all right, I'm going to finish it again because I want to get to the end. And I get to Rio, just across the ocean from Juneau. I'm like, and I'm done.
That's about exactly where I am. I'm ready to cross the ocean.
That's exactly where I'm at right now. And the thing is, I love everything after that. I love Cosmo Canyon, and I love the village where Yuffie comes from, and then just kind of that whole build up to going to the crater is just, I love it. Actually, no, I'm stuck in the gold saucer right now in the prison down below, and that always pisses me off because I always forget how to get out of there. Aaron,
I'll beat the whole game, and then you can have conversations based on whatever part of the game you're at.
Oh, I'll play the whole thing too. It gives me something to do too.
I could try. That's a long-ass game.
You can't even open Grand Theft Auto 5. How the hell are you going to finish Final Fantasy 7?
I'm not going to very well.
Have you ever have you ever played it?
Yes, I played it. I beat it.
Okay, so you could have some intelligent conversation about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm willing to play it again. I have my PS1 copy of it, so
I would say within the next couple months you'll probably see a Final Fantasy VII special.
right.
That's a big show to fill, though.
Well, who knows? We did Final Fantasy VI and talked about it for 2 hours.
I may cheat a little bit and just use my memory cards to get through certain parts.
That's true. Wow.
But yeah, 7, 8, and 9 are going to be really easy for me to play again because when I played them the first time, I played them back to back to back over like a 2.5 week period when I was in like grade 10 or something.
What? Did you not have friends?
No, I did. It's just I said, okay, well, I got Final Fantasy VII and I'm going to play it, and it was so good that I just played it straight. I beat it in like probably a week.
But you just went straight storyline then, right?
Well, yeah, because I mean, at the time I didn't have the internet or a walkthrough.
Yeah,
so I was like, well, okay, I'll just do what I think is right and then beat the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first time through, I didn't get any of the extra characters, any of the big items, and I got to the very end and I could not win because I didn't have everybody that you needed because, half the party dies and there has to come back in. So then I started all over from the beginning, and then I got to the end again. And then my grandma actually beat the game before I did because I had to do that. And then I just spent all of my time trying to build up my AP to get everything maxed out.
Wait. Your grandma beat it?
Yeah.
So your grandma...
She's the one who got me into the video games in the Final Fantasy series originally.
So both of your grandmas are your enablers for video games.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. See, when I got to the end of 7 for the first time, if I were to have left the crater, there would not have been anything for me to do in the world. I mean, anything.
Really?
I was like 120 hours into that game.
Yeah, like cumulative hour count for when I beat 7, 8, and 9 was probably like 55 hours.
Oh, wow. So you pounded through them.
Yeah, I did. 7 and 8 probably took me 20 hours each, and then 9 I did in 15 hours because I didn't think it was a very good game.
Wow, that's insane. I couldn't even fathom doing that because those games, there's so much to do.
Not if you go straight for the end.
I suppose. Are you going to go straight for the end with 7 right now, or are you going to enjoy it?
No, I'm doing everything. That's why I'm 10 hours in where I am. It's like, if I were trying to speed it, I could probably do that.
That's still part of the first disc, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the first disc ends... If you do everything and you kind of play it properly, the first disc ends around 15 to 20 hours. I think that's right.
That sounds probably about right.
The last disc is basically just the final boss.
And all the wandering around killing the ultimate weapon. And
yeah. Well, we can save all that crap for another show. But yeah, that's exciting. I will get on that. Aaron, we have done way too much talking about what we played. What did you manage to fit into your schedule this week?
All right. I played, for old school, I played Gradius.
Ooh.
Nintendo. And I realized that I really want to play it with my Advantage controller rather than the Square controller.
Hold on, which one was the Advantage controller? Was that the...
That was like the arcade stick,
one?
yeah.
Oh, I have that. That's such a
I
great
have that.
controller.
I just got to dig it out and plug it back in because I like the turbo button on there, and it comes in real handy to get through when you're shooting all.
Is
those
that the one that
guys
has
the
the suction cups on the bottom of it?
Yes, I believe it does.
Does it actually have suction cups?
I think they were an attachment that you could take on and off.
I know, mine's in my closet right now, and I know it has suction cups on the bottom of it.
I know what they did have it because I did it too. I had stuck it to like my table one time, my coffee table. So.
I liked it because I used it to beat Mega Man with my feet. I couldn't use the regular controller for games like that because it was too hard. I could beat Mario 3 with my feet with the regular controller, though.
Is it because there was a turbo button?
No, it was because like dodging enemies is a lot easier with the joystick on your foot.
Right.
Isn't there a guy who's made... He made a video of beating some, like Metroid, or some insanely long game using only his feet. I remember watching that.
That's pretty impressive, I gotta be honest.
I think you could beat Metroid 1 in like 30 minutes if you're good, though.
With your feet?
Yeah.
Well, I would assume not with your feet.
No. And then in the other game, and what I like about Gradius is it's a side-scrolling type, basically shooter game where you're shooting all the little bad guys and some of the guys shoot at you and you have to go through.
Yeah, like Jackal.
Jackal was a top-down view. But yeah, and you kind of had to use it was like an early Geometry Wars type style because you just had to watch where you were going and then get in there. A lot like Defender, and then you could upgrade your weapon and you get force shields and things like that. And then, but again, it's one of those games that was, as a kid, you could sit down, play it, get through all the levels really fast. So you know how to get through. And then as you get older, you pick it up and you play, and you get to the point where the volcanoes go off, and you have to avoid all the volcano shots that you're going to die. But as a kid, you could just, I got this, and you're next out of there. So that's as far as I got. And I got frustrated with that.
I feel like with all those older games like that, I have all these grandiose memories of them, playing them for hours and hours and hours, and then I go to pop it in, and I get 3 seconds into it. I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, it's like, God damn, this is stupid.
This is dumb.
But I did like it. But then I thought, you know what? I see Final Fantasy sitting in front of me. But we've already talked about Final Fantasy, so I went to the other route that was a big game back in the day, and I went and got Dragon Warrior.
Oh,
so
shit. Which
I've
one?
been playing Dragon Warrior for the last couple hours.
You just hit Kev's sweet spot because that guy
I
loves
have
him
the
some
original.
Dragon Warrior.
I have it with the box, with the instruction book, with the Explorer's Handbook, the poster, the Dragon Warrior Adventure Guide, and all the maps.
Ben would be all up in your shit right now.
And
Ben Schrader, the other guy who's supposed to be on here but never showed up.
yeah.
I
So
have 2 copies of Dragon Warrior 1.
yeah, it's the game. I remember playing as a youth, but I don't. Like, it's one of the games that I started playing Final Fantasy, and that's all I remember. And all I remember about Dragon War was that still type of feel, and you fought, like, the slimes and the ghosts. But this is a grinder. So,
Oh, yeah.
you start with like 120 gold or something like that, and you go to one town, and like you can get a suit of armor for like 70, a shield for 90, a club for 60, a pole arm for 10, and so you have to budget it out. So I was like, I'll just buy a pole arm and I'll buy the leather armor. I'd rather have that. So then I'm going around, but you only get like you level up by getting experience points, and you get experience points for being bad guys. But you only get like 1 experience point per bad guy. Some guys will give you 2, some guys will give you 4. But like now I'm level 4, and I need like 63 experience points. So basically you're literally just running around waiting for the random encounters to just fight. And then you have to go back to town to save your file. Because it's one of the games where you could go talk to the king, and he would write on a scroll, so that way when you started again, you'd have like a save file, and you could have 3 save files going for different players. And but then you'd have to like spend 6 gold to go to the inn to sleep, just to rest and gain all your hit points and magic back, just so you can go out again and keep exploring. And then it's a huge map, and eventually you get to parts where like there's more castles and more towns, but you can only save in the castles.
And
those
the one
things are
starting
like so
castle
far.
at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, and then you can't save at the other castles, because I know there's a couple more castles in the game that I'm hoping that you can save to. Otherwise, that is going to be a pain in the butt.
Do you ever get any sort of transportation?
No.
No, it's all walking.
Like no canoe or no skyship?
This game came out in like 1986, I want to say.
This came out 1989.
1989.
Is that
But yeah,
right?
it was one of the very. It was a lot like Final Fantasy 1. If you only had one character and like no.
Yeah, because it's only the one guy that you play,
and you only ever fight one enemy at a time.
Right. Yeah, and there is. I don't believe there is. I think there's something that makes you walk across the water, but because they are building bridges. But yeah, I don't believe there's a. I don't remember there being a canoe or anything.
See, I fell on the other side of the camp. I fell in the Final Fantasy camp instead of the Dragon Warrior camp.
Yeah, and I was in the same boat. I went with more Final Fantasy than the Dragon Warriors. I remember playing Dragon Warrior 2 and 3, but I just didn't get into them as much as I did the Final Fantasies. And it might be because like the Dragon Warrior game is very, you have to tell the computer, you have to tell the system what you want to do. So like for example, if you want to look on the ground, you have to go to the menu and hit search. Or if you want to use the stairs that are on the screen, you have to go to the menu and hit stairs to move stairs up or down. To open a door, you had to use a key.
Well, isn't Dragon Warrior really popular in Japan?
In Japan, yes. And then that has become Dragon Quest, is
which
what that turned into.
Dragon Quest 8 is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Kev, did you play anything else, or was it just Mother 3 for you?
Just Mother 3 and Final Fantasy 7.
So I was bored the other night, and I was flipping through all of my NES ROMs that I have, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it's about a few thousand. I got what this guy told me was every NES game ever made in ROM form. So occasionally I'll just pick up my PSP and just flip through it and just randomly pick one. And to give you an idea, there are some that are clearly, they were never actual games. So there are mods that people have made. So I was scrolling through the Super Mario Brothers section, and they have stuff like Super Mortal Kombat Brothers, Super Luigi Brothers, Super Hammer Brothers, Super Sonic, Super Santa Brothers. So like somebody has altered these games to put different characters in there, and the Super Mortal Kombat Brothers one was kind of cool because it had Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and they had their different weapons within there. It's kind of like what somebody did with Mario and Portal, where they just interjected different characters into it.
Uh-huh.
So I figured, all right, I'm going to dig through this and see what else I can find for altered games. And I remember when I was a kid, there was a game called McKids, and I think it was one of the first times that a fast food restaurant decided to make a video game, and it was basically Mario Brothers with McDonald's in it. And did you guys ever play that game?
No.
I think I did, but not a lot.
It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Instead of coins, you collected golden arches, and you had to climb up to What's-His-Nuts treehouse and collect presents and stuff. So Anyway, I was flipping through the Ds, just looking at stuff. I'm like, oh, here's a game that I want to play, or just purely out of curiosity. And the name of it is Dick Kids. That right there,
Okay.
I did not make the correlation that it was related to Mick Kids. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe this is like a Dick Tracy game with children or something. I load it up, and sure enough, here comes Mick Kids, and the first thing I see is the title screen, and Ronald McDonald comes out without pants on and a full-on erection.
Oh, God. Oh.
Like,
And from that moment on, Eric had a new favorite game.
Well, I'm like, I'm sitting here thinking, how can this possibly get any worse? So I continue playing.
Of course you did.
Well, and I just wanted to see what the first level was like.
Then I played the second level.
The kids aren't wearing pants. They have shirts on, they have hats on, they have no pants. And Ronald McDonald is naked every time you see him. It is the worst game I have ever played.
Even worse than Goof Troop?
No, this is just a shade above Goof Troop.
I don't know, man. I think I'd rather play Goof Troop than this silly game.
But on a serious note, I did play another game that one of our fans recommended. His name is... I want to get his name. Where's his name? Here it is. Oh, it's Jeff Woods. The guy we were talking about earlier. Jeff Woods recommended that we play Cobra Triangle, and I decided to give it a go. I guess the best way to describe it is it's kind of like an Excite bike with boats and weapons. It's that kind of top-down isometric view, but there's so many different types of levels in it that it's really hard to categorize what kind of game it is. So the first one is just a race, and there's other boats there that you can shoot your gun at and sink them. And then the next one, you're in this pond, and you have to deliver the landmines to another place while the other boats try to steal it. And then you go to some bonus round where you're going off jumps, and then a third round is another timed race, and then you have a boss battle. And there's no context to any of this, and the boss battle is like this giant leviathan that's coming out of the water, and there's no context to it, but it was strangely addicting. Like, I couldn't put it down. I just kept playing with it, and it's kind of
Cobra Triangle. Is that on the NES?
Yeah, NES.
Okay.
So,
I think I have that. I'll give that a go.
all right. So, did you guys play anything else?
Not retro speaking.
Okay. You guys want to take some emails? Because for some reason, people are starting to write us tons of emails.
Well, they like that we're back.
Yeah.
Even though half of us aren't here and
I think we've gotten
half
more.
of us don't actually play any games because that guy's a loser.
We've gotten more emails in the past 2 shows than we did in the past 10 combined.
So did we talk about why Jess isn't here, or did we just say she's not here?
I suppose we should.
Probably because
Jess.
she's out. What is she doing again? She's out fleeing the koalas.
Yeah, we'll go with that. She's out ordering impossible dinners at vegan restaurants.
She's very full from Canadian Thanksgiving yesterday. Or day
How
before
could she be
yesterday.
full? She's vegan. She didn't. She obviously didn't eat anything good.
She had a quino.
It's not even a word.
You haven't seen that commercial?
I don't watch TV.
All right.
I play video
And you
games.
don't watch movies either.
Yeah. If you want to write us an email, factorysealed@manatank.com. We have quite a few. I'm not proofing these. I'm just popping the clutch on these. We've got an email here from Alex Vandera. Hello, Factory Sealed Podcasters. My name is Alex. This is my first time writing into the Factory Sealed Podcast, though I've written into the recently deceased Manatank podcast in the past. As an aspiring video game artist, my question references an issue I've been considering for some time. Do pixel-based games stand the test of time better than polygon-based? The best example of this could be the jump from between the two from Final Fantasy 6 to 7. Now, I've only played 7, so I cannot comment on 6, but those garnish flat faces, blah, 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 Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy. What do you think? Pixel-based games, i.e. Genesis, Super Nintendo, flat 2D base, or 3D polygon based?
Well, we kind of touched on this earlier, but it all depends on what kind of TV you're playing the game on, because playing Final Fantasy VII on a 61-inch sucks ass.
Yeah, and I'm playing through it on my Vita right now, which has that AMOLED screen, and it really draws out the jagged edges.
Yeah.
But I think his question is a little bit more. It doesn't. I don't think it's going based on do they look better? Do they stand the test of time better? So 50 years from now, or 50 years after the release of a pixel-based game versus 50 years after the release of a polygon game, which one do you think is going to hold up better? Let's say they're both the best game of the year from that time.
Well, if they're both the best game of the year, then it has to be the pixel game. Just because the best game of the year in polygons will look worse with current technology, right? Because pixels will always be pixels.
Yeah.
But polygons, like you said, they look a lot sharper with the new technology.
They tapped out the potential for the 16-bit systems, the flat pixel-based systems. So yeah, I think you're right. It will always look like that, whereas polygon-based, as we progress down the road, even just look back to the launch title PS3 games versus what we have now. We look at those and we clearly go, that's shit because now we have this.
Yeah.
We haven't progressed any further with pixels. So yeah, I think from an artistic perspective, the pixel games will always, hands down, look better. I don't know. It's an interesting question, and I enjoy going back and playing the old pixel-based RPGs a lot more than I enjoy going back and playing the old polygon RPGs, because especially if they were the early polygon RPGs, because they were such an eyesore. Like, I'm thinking in specific of Dragon Warrior 7 on the PS1. That game was a freaking headache to play. But apparently it was supposed to be a great game, but I couldn't play it because I had acclimated to modern high-def graphics, and I just couldn't downgrade myself.
Yeah, I have a hard time going back to some of those older titles. Especially after the every time they come with a new generation, it gets better and better. However, I do think the PS1 games actually hold out better than some of the PS2 games.
Oh, absolutely.
So I can go back and play Final Fantasy VII, and I can go back and play Final Fantasy VIII, and be pretty compelled to play those again in the graphics wise. But then when I go to play some of the games that came out on the PS2 that I have, it's like it's really hard because they switched from that. They went from, I guess it was still pixelated in the PS1, but they gave it more pixels on the PS2, and for whatever reason, I just thought it looked there's too many pixels and less blocky. Like the PS1 looked blocky.
Think of it this way. By the time the Genesis and Super Nintendo rolled around, they had already had, 5-6 console generations with pixels to master how games looked and how to operate. If you compare that to polygons, we're only on our third right now, currently, generation of polygon technology.
Where do these numbers come from?
Think about it. PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PS3. That's 3 generations of using polygon technology.
Okay, so now do pixel-based.
I can't, because...
Well, no, you can, because it's Intellivision.
ColecoVision.
Atari / Genesis or Sega Master System.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's Nintendo, NES. Then it's Super Nintendo / Super Genesis. 4 generations. So we're only back by 1 generation.
Okay, so 4. That's still, we're not at the same point.
Because, Atari, you could even say it was part of the original.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he has one additional question. As HD remakes of old favorites have become popular in recent years, how would someone make an HD remake of a pixelated game without converting it to polygons? And which game do you think deserves an HD remake? I don't think there's a tactful way, or even I don't think there is a way to convert a pixel game to HD, which is why they don't do it. And the ones that they have, they've converted, like the old Final Fantasy III for DS.
And the only way to really do it, I would say, for some of the ones that I would think of, would be to do the cell shading.
Yes.
Like Borderlands. I could see a lot of the old school games getting brought over and not being, say, polygon, but I could definitely see them doing it in a really cool, like cell shading type of way.
Yeah, I suppose they could polish up the edges and
like, I don't know. Like, I think it'd be cool to see. Let's see, what game was I playing? Like a Crash Bandicoot or a Spyro game.
Yeah.
I could see something like that done really good and a really cool cell style shading, more than I could see being it done in like a let's see what game, like Banjo-Kazooie type game now that you would get on the Xbox. You know what I mean? Like one that's going to just seem like it's over the top, almost like a Wind Waker game. Like is that Wind Waker? Yeah, Wind Waker. Yeah, that kind of style where it's a step forward, but it's not Final Fantasy X-ish. If that makes sense.
yes.
Okay.
Which games do you guys want to see remade? And don't say Final Fantasy VII.
Come on, jump on the bandwagon.
I would like to see the like the Crash Bandicoot and the Spyro games, to be honest, redone in that style. That'd be really sweet.
I would have to say, and this, for the longest time, I've wanted a remake of this series, but they're actually coming out and doing it. So I don't know if this answers the question, but I've been dying for HD remakes of the original Oddworld games.
Oh, that'd be a good one, yeah.
So they are coming out with Oddworld New and Tasty. So my dreams have come true. Kev, anything you want to see?
I don't really do the whole HD remake thing. I think it's pointless. I think if you played a game and you loved it before, then there's no reason to want an HD remake because the game is already good.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that want to play it that never played it before.
Exactly.
And I think that's the reason why HD remakes are getting a little more popular, because people want to play it, but they don't want to find the old system. They don't want to play it on an emulator. They want to
I don't know about that.
I
don't think a lot of the DuckTales HD market is new fire to the DuckTales game. I think it's people our age who played the game back in the day, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to shell out $10 for the DuckTales HD remake.
Right, it's $10 for that, or it's going out and trying to find an old NES or the old cartridge and pay $30 to $50, and then to get it and realize that it sucks looking on your nice flat screen TV.
PlayStation, the Wii Store, all these new consoles do all the old games.
Yeah,
the people who are buying them, I don't think the HD remake is the factor in why they're buying it.
No, they're buying it for nostalgic purposes, and I think that's what those companies are banking on.
That's exactly what the companies are banking on. And that's why certain HD remakes are viable. Like, you're not going to you're never going to see mass. You're never going to have a company that only does HD remakes because they'll go bankrupt.
Do you think 2 generations, 3 generations from now, we're going to see HD remakes?
It's possible. Here's the only thing about remakes that I want, whether it's HD or whatever. I want to see old school games like back from the Nintendo, and some even older than that, Super Nintendo, that had really good, and like the ones like you just said, like that Cobra Triangle, right? Has no really storyline or plot. You just play through. But I would like to see a game like that come and just basically do the whole storyline, give it some plot line twist, and then update the graphic style to what is current today. They do it with movies all the time. Every 10, 15 years, you're going to start seeing, these movie remakes. We're already starting to see them right now from movies that were out 20 years ago. It's because people are out of
original ideas.
The original ideas. But the key thing is, too, is like I was talking to somebody the other day about Lethal Weapon, and we were, quoting movies like that. And like, it's coming to a point now where they're going to be able to remake the Lethal Weapon series, but instead of using the old Vietnam veteran, they're going to be able to use like Iraq War veterans.
Yeah.
In their stead, and it's okay. Well, that makes sense. But then again, it's just updating that style. So that's why I think if they come back with older games, like I said it again 1,000 times before I see Final Fantasy VII remake, I like to see original Final Fantasy remake,
Yeah.
with that style play, with that same basic concept where you have the guys
Well,
and you have to go out there and do that.
Technically, they did.
You grew up.
They did HD remake it for Dawn of Souls and for the Game Boy Advance version. They did polish it up.
Yeah, but I'm talking like
Full
instead
on.
of the top-down view, like let's go Mass Effect style with it.
All right, our next email comes from Justin Montemerno. You may remember him from last show from Justin's Picks. He writes in, Eric, glad to hear that you're an AoE fan. High five for you. Jess, thanks for being down with the whole Justin's Picks segment of the show. High five for you. Aaron, learn to play RTS games. Sorry, friend, -1 high five for you. For the most part, I think Kirby sucks, so I will not be playing any of them ever. I love that you mentioned Boogerman this week. I remember renting it once as a kid, and it was hilariously fun to play. For this week's Justin's Pick, I will be playing Punch-Out on NES. Aaron had mentioned that it's one of his favorite NES games, and that it is one of mine as well. I'm interested to know how far each of you can make it. Have any of you actually ever beaten it?
I've beaten it once.
Did you cheat?
Nope.
I've never played it.
I got lucky as hell.
I have never played it.
I was in the presence of somebody who beat it.
That doesn't
and
count.
That's as close as I have been. I think I've made it to Super Macho Man, I think. The second last guy, right before Mike Tyson. But I've never made it to Mike Tyson.
Yeah. I've only gotten to him legitimately once. Otherwise, I do all the codes. I'll type it in to get there. But yeah, when I was a kid, I finally got to him and beat him, but could never repeat it ever because it was just such a dumb game, cheap game. Like it was like, oh, I'm gonna hit you, and then like he hits you once and you're just out cold. It's like, God damn.
Yeah, I mean, if you got hit by Mike Tyson, you would be out cold.
Yeah.
All there is to it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a good one. I like that pick. Good job, Justin.
This next email, I'm actually kind of glad this person wrote back in. Kev, you listened to last week's show, right?
I want to say yes.
But you didn't.
No, I might have.
Okay. This one, this email comes from Kirilo Dowd. He writes in and says, if you can remember my email from last week, I had a woodwork project that had glue spilt on it. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Okay, so I haven't read this yet, but he's emailing to clarify, and he says, my name is pronounced, and then he spells it out, and I'm disappointed since you pronounced it correctly in a previous email. Whatever. The reason the glue was a problem was that the brief, which I'm assuming means assignment, was to design and make a trophy with a moving piece. It was a rugby ball trophy where the wooden rugby ball spun, but since it was glued up, the moving pieces didn't work, so technically I didn't answer the question. The project was sadly not glued to a desk. That would have been awesome because he'd be responsible. I'm from Ireland, and an E in Europe is any grade between 5% and 40, which is still not passed, but it's like at least you tried. Also, he isn't actually Kevin's cousin. He just reminds me of Kevin. Damn it! I was totally hoping we had somebody who knew your cousin.
I only have a couple cousins, and none of them are smart enough to be teachers.
Well, I'm glad.
Let's see. That one doesn't have any question. It's from Mark Dwine. Guys, it's serious. You're wondering if you still have fans at that point. The show, I fell to my knees, shook my fists in the sky, and yelled, blah, blah, which means as much as I'm a fan, I'm here for you. Slightly worried and over-enthusiastic Dutch. Okay, there's no question there. Roger Potter.
But he's happy that we're here.
Roger Potter Snack. That's a sweet last name. Pot Snack. Hi, Factory Seal crew. First off, welcome back. This podcast gives me the opportunity to get my retro gaming fix at work, so for that I thank you. Anyway, I have a game suggestion for you guys. The game is The Fireman for the Super Nintendo. Well, Super Famicom, as it was never released in the US. It did come out in Europe, so there is an English ROM. The game plays like a shooter, but instead of guns and henchmen, you get hoses and fire. Promise it's much better than it sounds. Yeah, I hope so. I've been a hardcore SNES collector for years and first played this game around 6 months ago, and it is now in my top 5 SNES games. Hope you get a chance to check it out. Love the new weekly format. Keep it up. Roger Potter Snack.
A fireman, huh?
That reminds me of this arcade game that was basically the same thing, except you actually got to hold on to the hose. The controller was a giant hose.
Really?
Yeah, that was an arcade game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's back in the arcade days when they were kind of trying to break into the market of like all these games have these peripherals with them, and the old skateboard or ski game where you'd stand on the actual skateboard or the skis.
Yeah. We had an arcade like that in Edmonton that was just like basically every game was like that. There was one that was whitewater rafting and you sat in a raft, or the horseback riding one and you would actually sit on a giant plastic horse.
Those games were real dumb.
Those games were awesome.
And the fact is you usually paid $2 a pop to play them because there was a saddle to sit on.
Like the jet games where you can move the whole thing around. The thing would move up and down, left and right.
Yeah, like
sweet.
Afterburner.
Yeah.
All right. Next email comes from Carl. Just Carl. He sent this email from his PlayStation Vita system, so he's continuing to unlock the potential of his PlayStation Vita. Hello, it is I, the Almighty Necromancer, otherwise known as Radioactive Moth. I am your self-proclaimed #1 fan. Listened to every episode and never wrote in. I feel guilty about this, and I must repent for my errors. I have games to recommend and comments to give, but games come first. I would like you to play the Spyro trilogy. Aaron, I think you've mentioned that a few times, right?
Mm-hmm.
As they are my favorite platformers, I also want you to play Persona. Any of them will do, but you should play them all. I also want you to play Shin Megami Tensei 2 and 3. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Persona and Shin Megami Tensei were the same game.
No, they're from the same like world or whatever, but they are two different. Because there's the Devil Summoner games and the Persona games.
Okay,
they're two different things.
Okay, isn't Persona just basically a high school simulator?
Yes.
Okay, not interested. He says, also, please play Tales of Eternia or Tales of Destiny 2. It's very good on PSP. I also want you to play the original Resident Evil, because this game is a crowning moment in voice acting. Sentence is oozing with sarcasm. Now on to comments. First, thanks for recommending Alundra. I got it on PSN and loved it. I'm also looking forward to you guys finishing Mother 3. But anyway, thanks for reading my email. Don't stop making the podcast. Necromancer. There's a lot of games that he recommended in there.
Well,
and none of them are short. But I do kind of want to go back and play Spyro.
It's probably be fun. I gotta find a copy of that. I think I can download. I think it's on PSN.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
You got another fan letter.
Oh, sweet.
This one comes from Rose Torres. Hi there, everyone at my favorite podcast. This is Aaron's favorite person, Rose. I really hope you guys keep making podcasts. I mean, Aaron kind of owes me after leaving without telling me. So in order to keep you guys going, I have a request. The first video game I ever played was Crash Bandicoot on PS1. You guys should really play that and see who gets the furthest before rage quitting or rage not having the time. That's funny. Yeah, I think Aaron's going to win the rage not having time already, so let's just give him that award.
Time is a precious thing.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Wow, she really made that. Oh, my gosh, didn't she?
This person's got a sweet email, but it's really long.
Is it Mike Kelso from that 70s show?
Yeah, Michael Kelso. I think he just put Mega Man in the subject line to bait me in.
Probably.
So I'm going to read it. I'll skim it. Hey, Factory Seal peeps, I'm not sure how I stumbled upon your podcast while looking for some sharp political commentary on iTunes, but I sure am glad to have found you guys. Yeah, because we're all up in the politics. After several weeks of commuting, I finally caught up and listened to your backlog. You guys are hilarious. I grew up playing games in the late 80s and early 90s. SNES single-handedly ruined any hope I had at a career in sports, and the SNES cemented me into the life of social ineptitude. Somehow I was able to rise above it. Your podcast takes me back to the glory days. Just wanted to tell you guys, keep it up. and leave you with a small list of games that stole some of my time as a child. There is one game on his list actually two that I want to play. He mentions Faxanadu, which we covered on our first episode. Actually, no, second episode. But he mentions Bubble Bobble.
Oh, Bubble Bobble is awesome.
That game, his only comment to that game is, fuck that Grim Reaper. And he is totally right. Bubble Bobble.
I played Bubble Bobble for our unnamed challenge, and I crushed him.
That game's so freaking hard. I remember playing that at one of my buddies' house when I was in kindergarten or first grade before his house burnt down. That's the only thing I remember. I remember sitting in his house, and then I left, and then I found out the next day his house burnt down. No more Bubble Bobble. He also mentioned Star Tropics, which I was thinking about when you guys were talking about Dragon Quest.
I don't like Star Tropics. Too slow.
Yeah, being as versed in RPGs as I am now, Star Tropics is real hard to go back to.
Even when it came out, I didn't like it.
He says
something about using a yo-yo to put things to death was kind of lame.
He says dip the instruction manual in water, but remember to write down what you see. What the hell?
Did you know that the Canadian version of Star Tropics doesn't have a yo-yo in it?
What does it have?
I don't remember, but it was something to do with
poutine
copyright laws. Yo-yo wasn't copyrighted, or it was copywritten in Canada and not in the States.
Weird.
So that's why the States could use yo-yo and the Canadian version of the game couldn't.
Huh.
Okay.
Oh, it's gonna bother me. I don't remember what they used. Let's see if I can.
Well, thanks, Mike. Got some good suggestions there. And he did bait you. Look at that.
Yeah, there's nothing about Mega Man in there. Well played.
It's right on the bottom. It's right on the bottom.
Oh, does it? P.S. Subject line. That guy's awesome. I like him. Nick Stevens writes in, you may know him from the 90s Entertainment Show. Didn't have time to play along this week, but I want to let you know that we name drop Factory Sealed all over our podcast, so we're going to name drop him. NES. Is it NES Show, or what is it?
Oh, it's the 90s Entertainment Show.
I know, but is it listed as NES?
NES, yeah.
Okay, this is our last email. We had a ton of emails. This one comes from George Vosper.
Okay, just before we go on, it was called a Island Star instead of an Island Yo-Yo, so you threw stars at enemies in the Canadian.
You don't want to read this really long one by Ben?
Oh, we might go back to that. Hey, Factory Sealed crew, I just want to say welcome back. I know I'm a little late on that, but how could I not miss a great podcast with an awesome crew of people? I don't have anything... No question? Okay, well, I guess I'll take that as... I don't have anything for you this time, but keep up the great work and keep on playing games. That's nice.
Do, George.
That's nice to hear that people like that we're back. Did you find anything interesting in this Ben Merrick email?
I'll read it here. It says, hey, guys, I love the podcast and how random and off-topic it can get at times. I started listening earlier this year, and by the time I caught up, you guys had your hiatus. I'm glad you are back. Please keep it going. I work in the games industry as an environment artist. I make the worlds you see in games. I am currently contracting at Rare in England, who made such classics as GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie, etc., and we are working on Kinect Sports Rivals for Xbox One. I listen to your podcast whilst I work, meaning I get to listen to you guys expanding my knowledge of retro games whilst making next-gen games, which is pretty cool.
Is whilst an English word?
I believe, yes, it is. You've never seen it before?
Well,
yeah.
I have, but I've never seen somebody use it twice in the same sentence.
Pronounced wild?
Whilst. That could be whilst, yeah. My game suggestion is quite different, and I don't know if you guys have heard of this one before.
Yes!
Odama on the GameCube.
Yes, I remember this game. This was a pinball, kind of like a
yes,
RTS game.
I remember seeing this. This game is really hard to find now.
And it had a stupid-ass controller with it, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. It's pretty hard the game to explain, but essentially it is a samurai RTS in which you control your men with voice commands using a mic that came with the game and Mario Party, whilst also controlling a giant boulder/pinball that you fire at the enemies with the controller. Is a crazy idea that doesn't sound like it would work, but is amazingly fun, especially when you have a few friends over. It's probably easiest to watch a video of it, skip 2 minutes in to see the gameplay, and you left a link. I know this means buying the game, but if it's pretty cheap, $5 you on Amazon.com, and I recommend the experience of the madness.
All right.
Man, he's got a lot to say.
Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I remember Odama because I made fun of people who bought it because it was a stupid game. It's a pinball RTS. It's dumb. Pinball games suck. But this game, after I actually played it, I was kind of pissed off that I never bought a copy of it.
Yeah, I never had a GameCube and to play it on.
I think it'd be well made. Well, I think it would be a decent remake on the Wii U, or just if they were to bring it over.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a note. It says, "Keep up the great work." And Aaron, please be careful on your bike now that the weather is starting to get worse. At least it is in England.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
We effectively read every email that was sent to us because if you send us an email, we'll read it. But try to put something in it. I don't care what it is.
You know, here's what I like. Here's what I learned about the emails this week. Is we had some people write in, or even maybe it was on Facebook, that talked about us not getting off topic. And they said we got off topic a lot. But all these guys email are like, they love it when we just randomly talk about crazy stuff that happens in our lives. And
Kev, let me ask you this. In our 2 years of doing the Mana Tank podcast, how often were we actually talking about games? I would say it would be less than 50% of the time.
Oh, I was going to go as low as 15% of the time.
And people loved it. I think I'm going to stick with what I said earlier. People just like to have other people's perspective on the world and then little video game dribble in there.
Yeah, I think it would be really boring if we just strictly talked about video games for the entire show.
Well, there are some shows that do that. Like, hey, welcome to the show. All right, what'd you play?
Well, those people probably play a lot of games.
Yeah, but you gotta, I like to, without getting too in depth and sharing my phone number with people like some people.
Let me pull that up and say it on the show.
Yeah, it is 521. That's all I got. I don't even know if that's right.
I don't even know if I still have your phone number on my phone.
Oh, don't you dare read my phone number off. All right. We don't have any other emails. If you want to send us some, factorysealed@manatank.com. I see that some people have gone on iTunes and given us a positive rating. Great. If you love us, give us a rating. If you hate us, try not to leave us a rating. That's it. That's the show.
Right.
Wait, no, it's not.
Show.
What are we playing What are we playing for next week? I want to try this Fireman game.
All right. I wonder if I have it. Hold on.
Kev, are you going to join us next week?
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. I'm going to play some Bubble Bobble for sure.
Oh, I don't have the Fireman game.
I can send it to you.
Send it to me.
And then I'm going to see if I still have...
I downloaded that Mother emulator again.
It's
so
not...
shoot me... I downloaded the emulator and downloaded the ROM. So send me that patch, though. I can't find the thing for the patch. That might be why it's not working.
The patch just makes it English. I sent you the entire email. Just go into the Factory Sealed email and look for Ryan Yetinik.
Oh, it's under that. That's where.
So that's going to do it for the show. Aaron, where can we find you on Twitter?
At Quilted Tunic.
Kev? We always have really awkward pauses when this happens.
Go in there and say something?
Yeah, where can we find you,
I thought
Kev,
you were going to introduce me.
Oh, Mr. Kevin Byer, where can we find you on Twitter?
Hold on.
Do you even remember it?
You can find me at Dinner Dangles.
And if you want to follow me, I'm at Honest Pizza. That's going to do it. We will be back next week. I promise. I'm not gallivanting into some far-flung corner of the world. That's it. So,
all right.
Till next week.
Till next week, guys. Drive safe out there.
Toodaloo.